Today's video for you is how to work with inexpensive watercolors in order to create a very detailed watercolor, and uses Mei Liang watercolors from Paul Rubens. Can it be done? Are cheap watercolors beneficial? Are they any good? Let's find out. Now, my first impressions when you see this box is that, yeah, it's nice. There's nothing special about the actual look of the box, is it? When you take this out, you can see instantly it's very colourful. It's a metal tin, which means it's going to be strong. It's not made of plastic, which I know lots of paint palettes are. And when you open it up, you've got places you can mix your paints, and also a colour card looking at it, so you can transfer the colours to the appropriate section. One thing I have noticed with this, I've had a very quick look, is that when you remove the tray of paints like that there, look, if I just open one of these up, just pull these little tags to one side like that, I can see straight away is that there isn't any labelling on the half pan paints. So if you take these out and you get them muddled up, you won't know without testing more colours which is which on your colour chart. So what I suggest you do, get yourself a fine tipped permanent marker pen and write on the side of these half pans, or any other half pans which you've got if they've not got any labels on them. Because at least then you know at a glance, if you take them out, put them down like that, you know which is which. Yes, that's quite obvious with a particular colour, but some are quite similar, aren't they? Especially on the reds. See, when you compare something like this, which looks to be quite high quality, doesn't it, to something like this set here, which I bought a little while ago, so I can test out cheap paints, compared to my usual Winsor & Newton watercolours here, which are the professional ones, and also their student brand, the Cotsman version. That's my usual go-to brand. This is plastic, it's flimsy as you can see, and it's not very well packaged at all, compared to something like this. Yeah, I do like that very much indeed. But the first thing I'm going to do is transfer these colours onto the card here and get them painted on there, just so I don't get them muddled up. You know, that can happen now. One handy thing about this chart is to give you some ideas on the transparency for each individual colour. So for example, lemon yellow, which I've just put on there as you can see, is more of a transparent colour, whereas some, such as, what we got? Burnt sienna is opaque, semi-opaque, which is earth yellow, or sky blue, which is semi-transparent. So it's knowing what the symbols mean as well. But do you need expensive supplies for really good artwork? Well, to be honest with you, you don't. Not all the time you don't. If you're starting out for the first time with watercolours, you're watching your budget, you're not sure if this is something you want to keep doing, I wouldn't recommend buying the more expensive brands out there. Not just yet anyway. That's something that you do if you find that you're enjoying painting with watercolours and really get into them. Then you might start to think about buying some more expensive brands. If, however, you're watching your budget and think, well, I can't afford those expensive brands, Paul. Well, the good thing about that is that these paints will do the job for you. That's the main thing. They'll do what you need them to do. And the difference between these sort of paints and the more high quality ones is that the high quality paints tend to have more pigment within the paints, so they're much richer and stronger, and they last longer as well. And some of the more expensive paints use natural minerals for making those colours. They're most likely more light fast, so they don't fade in the sun. Because one thing I don't have information on, of which I can't find anywhere, are the light fast properties for these paints. So just bear that in mind. So to recap, if you're a beginner, don't want to spend a fortune, just want to give it a try, these paints are ideal for you. So some of the colours are different, some of the names are different. So what you need to do is compare those to your normal pigments that you tend to use. If you don't use any other paints, it's not a problem. And what you can do when you're working from a reference photograph, all you need to do is split that up and match the colour to the photo until you find the colour that you want, or the combination of colours that you want to be able to work on that project. The next step, I'm going to show how to use these paints to paint a lovely ladybird, or ladybug, depends on where you live, I know. My question for you is, can truly stunning art be made from only affordable watercolours? Let's find out, shall we? The only thing I don't know about these paints is a light fastness. So do they fade in the sun? Some paints apparently don't, or not much at all. And I can't find information on this brand on how light fast these paints are. The other negative thing about this as well is that, as far as I know, you can't buy these half pans separately. Which means that when you run out of a colour, you can't replace it. And that applies to lots of different brands that have been sent for testing. Not all of them, but a lot of them. There's a but as well. What you can do, the positive side of this, so when you run out of a colour, you can replace it with your tube versions of paint. the ones you would normally use, or the ones you just buy from any art shop or online. Yes, it won't be the same colour, but to me that would then give me the option of trying out a new colour within the range, or from a different brand altogether. It doesn't matter. At the time of recording this video, it's roughly about £24. So it's not a lot of money. I mean, that's basically £1 per half pan. When you think you buy the Winsor & Newton ones like I do, or other good brands out there, you find that some of the pans tend to be about £4 or £5 each. Not a pound. But then you could argue the fact that the pigment quality is probably much better as well. I know. Is there more binder than pigment? Is there more artificial colours or true natural colours that's been used within the making process? But that's why you pay for these sort of paints, which are much more higher pigmented, as well as some of those natural minerals which are used for making those paints. So plenty of positives, plenty of negatives as well. So it depends on how you weigh something like this up. But for the price, you can't complain. You really can't. Look at the tin on its own. Yes, you might run out of the paints, but you just replace them with something else, as I mentioned. And then you've got yourself a decent tin at the end of it. Now, this has been put together as a written lesson, so if you are interested in this and buying the PDF version of this lesson, take a look in the description down below. I'll pop it there for you. The first thing I've noticed with these half pans is that it's very easy to load the brush up. Whereas even some of the expensive brands, which I tend to use, you have to work that half pan up to be able to get enough paint on your brush to begin with, so you can start painting with it. They do take a while sometimes to get started. But these half pans so far are very easy to be able to load that brush up with paint. So as you can see, art is accessible to everybody, regardless of the budget that you've got. You certainly don't have to spend a fortune to paint something like this. Now do me one huge favour. Why don't you pick up any watercolours, and I mean any, even if it's the cheap ones like these here, look, and have a go. Just try them paints out and start creating your own paintings today. So to me, the only limitation to your artistic journey is your imagination and not your wallet.